Welcome back to another episode of the Ultimate GQ Ute build from the ground up. We bought the cheapest, shittiest patrol we could find and are going to spend the next 6 months building it up to tour Australia and tackle the toughest tracks the country has to offer. Previously, Berto got cracking on stripping it down, cutting all the old mounts off the chassis, bracing it, welding tray mounts on and installing a 4-link setup and getting the GU diffs ready. In this episode, it's time for engine mounts, getting the diff straighted at Kinsella Customs and finishing off all of the suspension.
Proudly supported by Opus Campers, Ultimate Knife, Superior Engineering, GME, and in part by
Bip Bop gives a bibbly bop, mate.
Bip, 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 bip.
Sure, no, mate. What are we doing?
Putting a gearbox in. Look at that, mate. She ain't going nowhere.
She ain't going
Ain't
nowhere.
going nowhere.
So we're back, another day in the shed. I've got engine mounts to weld on into the car, but I have to mock it up with an engine block. So Tyler has an engine block here for a TD. I've been to the bolt shop. I've just went and gone and got a bell housing for a TD for this. We're gonna put this in on the cross member, and then I think we have like a chassis brace plate that I've got to weld on, and then we're gonna mock it up where it sits. Because otherwise, if it's in the wrong spot, I'm gonna redo everything I've just done.
It will happily turn that way.
Well, it won't turn the other way.
I think the chain's locking up.
Oh, take two, mate, take two.
Don't scratch it. As we just take it all out.
Pick the lightest bloke to be the counterweight.
It just fell in, man.
Yep, now that down.
And that was obviously at seating, both the pins. Sweet. Look at that. Got some instructions, mate.
Some destruction. Nah, you're my destruction, man. Ugh. Next step, we have this inside the chassis bracing fish plate that I've got to put on. What's the instructions say? This little hole here lines up with this hole. Mate, you know what them holes are for?
Passo driving, the steering box.
That's right, mate. Same spot. Same spot, mate. You passed the test. And then we want to line this one up, make sure it fits pretty good. Because where there's a bend, they're not flat, they bulge. So you sort of have to like tack it, squeeze it, tack it, squeeze it.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there.
Now that I've got that clamped on, I've got my paint pen, my marker. I'm going to trace around it, clean the chassis up to fresh prep, ready for welding.
Part 3 is placed. How's your knee, mate?
That wasn't me knee.
How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. What have we got here, mate?
You're going to have to show, look, I've come up, special guest appearance on
the Berto Sean channel.
Yeah, on the Berto and Sean channel.
Mechanical right here.
And I've come up with gifts for the day. We got the latest and greatest new carve sunnies, but safeties, safety sunnies. So look at this. I brought up some presents, mate. What ones did you choose?
Mate, I chose the yellow ones.
Who wants these ones?
So I got the yellow ones because this shed's pretty dark, and the yellow ones actually make everything a lot brighter when there's low light. These are juicy. I was due for a new set. Oh shit. Mate, you look like you're about to go and have a smoko. Now that I've got both of those areas prepped, I'm going to hit that with weld through primer. Now that that's in place, I'm going to grab the welder so I can get it tacked on. Now that I've got that all welded out, I'm going to get the wire wheel out, give all that a clean up, spray some more weld through primer over that. So I've got to weld the actual mounts to that now, and I've got to bolt the engine to the gearbox so I can mock up the actual correct position where it's going to go. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be doing, buddy. That's looking better, isn't it? Next step is these have to get welded onto the chassis, but to get the correct position, we need to bolt these. These are marked left hand, right hand. We need to bolt those to these engine mounts that I have on this block and then put this onto that gearbox. And that gives us the right forward and back because the gearbox is locked in its normal position. And then we'll just get it to sit how we want it in there and tack them on. That. As you can see, we've got it all mocked up sitting there. I'm going to put some tacks on it. Now that I've got that tacked, pull the engine out, weld it fully up. And I'm going to leave the engine out. It's not the engine I'm going to put in there. And I still need to paint the chassis, so. Bellows and bolts are out. Now I just got to pull out engine mount bolts. Just need to get something to pry the gearbox off with. Next job on the agenda, I've got the gearbox crossmember out of this thing, and everyone knows a patrol front with big flex, you rub on this, you can see there's already a little mark here. You pretty much cut this section out and then plate it in so it's just as strong, but it clears the tail shaft for a big flex setup. So that's what we're going to do today. Hot tip is you get the mount off your gearbox, you bolt it to the crossmember, because you don't want to cut so much out that you can't do that bolt up, that nut up. Next step, we're going to make a plate for that. So I've got the bit I've just cut out. I'm going to put it around it and trace him. Boom. So I'll probably make it slightly oversized and then I can grind it down to make it fit perfectly. There's the first piece cut out. I'll give that a bit of a clean up, get all the rusty scale off it, and then I'll see how it fits and we'll adjust it to suit. That bit there fits pretty well perfect. So now I'm going to trace the other edge of this section, and then I'll get a plate for that. Before I trace it, I'll clean that up. It'll make it easier. Now that I've got them fitted up pretty good, I've got the welder out, I'm going to get them tacked into place and then we'll weld them out. It got a bit hot there, blew a hole in it. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but sorted her out.
With the crossmember cut, infilled and painted, it was time to head to Kinsella Customs to get the diffs straightened. In the previous episode, Berto got both the front and rear GU diffs built up with the 4-link end bracing. Being that they are second-hand diffs and have had a heap of parts welded to them, it is likely they will be bent and warped, so Berto wanted to get this sorted out early before he got them in the GQ.
So I need to go get, oh, look at this.
Straight on the camera.
Do I look like an influencer now? So I'll just put
Yeah.
on my glasses so I can't see. Just call me Timmy.
We're good, we're on.
We're on?
Yeah.
All right, so,
You probably introduce yourself, say who you are, where we are.
oh, is this the start of the video?
I did a little one out there, but if we just do one here as well, I'll choose what's better.
Oh, okay.
Like Tyler can choose
Oh,
what's
sorry.
better.
All right. Hey guys, Matt from Kinsella's Customs here. We've got these GU diffs in for Berto. We're gonna just, run the straight bar through them, see if they're straight now that he's put all this bracing on. If they're not, we'll go through the straightening process. So the first step is we've got these Nissan diffs here. Obviously there's nothing in them. We put these pucks in where the carrier bearings go, and then our straight bar will run through, nice snug fit, and that way it'll give us like an alignment for the rest of the housing once this is bolted in. Well, it goes through, that's a good start.
That's a start. So what, we got the bar that goes in, and then we've got little pucks that go in, and they align it to the end here.
Yeah, so these basically, we've got a whole bunch of these for different diffs.
Yeah.
And these just lock in where your axle seal would go.
Yep.
And that'll tell us like
Exactly how
straight
straight
it
that
is.
bit is.
Yeah.
Because that looks not terrible.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little bit out, but not. You could
Yeah.
get that in. Yeah.
And the other side was the one that had an offset kingpin, I'm pretty sure. So
And this side's well out.
it is.
Yeah. So this side is a lot more bent. It's way more common on the long side where you've usually welded on this long truss compared to the short side. There's a lot less room for movement. But when we put this puck in, you can see there's no chance that's going to fit through there.
Yeah.
So that puck mimics what an axle seal would do. With it being that far out, it's obvious an axle seal would not do its job properly. You'd end up with a constant oil leak, and being that it is so far out, probably get some horrible death wobbles when driving due to bad tyre wear.
How are we looking, Kev?
So now we've got this one fitting. Focus. This one's fitting. The other side is out. So the one that was good is now out by about half a hole. So we'll have to do the same thing to this side.
The idea behind fixing it is the diff gets chained down. The ends get pressed up or down to where the puck sits nicely in the hole and the diff is sitting in its correct straight position, and then a large amount of heat is applied with the oxy. Once the diff is cooled and the pressure is taken off the diff, it will remain in that correct position. This can take multiple goes to get it right and get the diff in the correct alignment.
Got the front one done. Now we're going to move on to the back one, put it in the jig, do the same thing. Yeah. Boom. That's beautiful.
Shout out to Kinsella Customs for getting those diffs nice and straight. Berto's back in the shed now, finishing off the last of the chassis cleanup and giving the diffs a final coat of paint. Hope you guys are enjoying the episode. I just want to quickly jump on here and say, Bush Mechanic t-shirts, they are back in stock. They were sold out for a couple months, but we do have them back. And we got Bush Mechanic patches. I know a lot of you guys love collecting these patches. So we got these done up in patches now too. Free shipping in Australia, $10 for one, 2 for 15. Shirts, patches, tylerthompson.com.au. Get over there, grab them if you want them.
It's another day in the shed. Diffs are painted, about to paint the chassis, and then we're going to put the diffs back under the car and get this thing rolling.
With the chassis painted and looking beautiful, it was time to reinstall the rear GU diff, 4-link coil tower brace, coils and shocks.
So next up on the GQ, we've got a box from Superior, nothing but the best. These are GU plus 45mm towers, which means on a GQ, they're actually plus 55. So you're gonna bolt these on, that's gonna allow us to have really long shocks and gain a lot of down travel, but still retain up travel at the same time. Next step in the build, I'm going to put the front diff under the car, make this a full roller. I haven't got my 5-link yet, still coming. I'm going to put the original radius arms back in here temporarily with my new springs, new shocks, new panhard. Next part, I'm putting the front end together on this thing. Some Superior 4-inch flexi coils. So you know, the light, soft braided, really good for flex in a 4-inch. That is the most you can get engineered in New South Wales. Now that the springs are in, next up, Superior Engineering. My 2.0 remote reservoir shocks. They're to suit a plus 7-inch lift. So these are the 13-inch travel, longest ones you'll order for a patrol. From Superior, so if Tyler thinks he's even going to have the slightest chance of flexing and keeping up, not happening. He doesn't have the big dog stuff like this. So, I'm just making it a roller, bolting on the dirty hubs and the old stub axles. And you're probably thinking, why would you make everything look nice? Bolt them on like that. There's no axle seal, there's no back seals. These all have to come back off. I need to put a full swivel hub rebuild through it, but I'm not going to do that until I have the final diff center that I'm going to put in this. So to make it a roller, bang these on, and then I'll pull them back off and do it all properly later on in the build. Next up on the front end of this, I have a 70-75 alloy tie rod, and then I've got the GU adjustable front panhard. Suit the early model, so GQ, GU front. Gonna be a lot stronger, give me the adjustability to match the panhard to the lift.
It was really starting to come together at this point. Now we were just waiting for the 5-link to arrive.
Beat bop, sound working. Another day in the shed working on the ute. I'm sick of working on the Jeep. The Jeep can get stuff. It's been a couple of days. Got some parts coming from Superior Engineering. They've rocked up. 5-link front, Heim joint steering arm, and I have my front remote res brackets, the mounts. So I'm gonna roll this chassis back, get it out of the sun. I'm not working in the sun, mate. I'm not working in the sun. The Jeep's done me for this. I'm not happening. We are back. We are in action. First job today, I'm gonna get the remote resi mounts bolted up on top of the towers, mount the resis, get them out of the way. I don't want to scratch them. I want them to look pretty. I also thought, hey, it's a ground up build. Why would I use the same old bolts that went in the hole? Went to my local paint supply shop, got myself some new bolts, all zinc coated, all zinc plated. Let's get it done, let's get it on there. Pretty straightforward, 2 bolts. So I had Brad message me the other day, and I remembered, and he says 2 things he's ever taught me. Victorian has a slab of pizza, square pizza, and yeah, copper seeds anything. But there's one thing you're wrong about, it's Palmer. It's not Palmer, it's Palmy, mate. You better get it right. I'm gonna have to come down there and sort you out if you keep playing. Anti-seize. Just figuring out what the best way is to run this thing. Goes like this. That's gonna be the best way to run it. I'm just get the hose clamps, clamp him on. I might cut these tabs down. There's probably shorter ones in the pack I could have used, but here I am, they're in there. Nice and ran. They're not gonna rub on anything. I just had a look at Tyler's, the body comes right down, there's plenty of room. Bump it out, whatever I gotta do. Those hose clamps look way better. There's 2 more of them. I'm gonna change the other side. That'll be us. So next thing I'm gonna install from my table of goodies, Heim joint steering arm. So this is the suit GU. I've got a GU steering box and a GU diff. I've got the steering box on straight. I'll try and get the wheels.
And it was at this point the microphone died for the day. So the next few clips we have no sound, so I'll voice over what is going on. Berto realised he had accidentally ordered a GQ front steering arm, not a GU like he had thought, so he's had to send that back to Superior to swap it over. Next up was the 5-link front. It's the same setup he ran in his wagon and absolutely loved it. Provides loads of flex and articulation off-road, but still got decent on-road handling.
Boom, boom. So, sounds working. Thank God. So, bit of a mishap yesterday afternoon. Working on this, putting a 5-link in, back of the footage up, no sound. So, to give you a rundown of what we've done, I put the top remote resi mounts on, mounted the resis up. I have then unbolted my original radius arms, and I'm halfway through bolting the 5-link in. So, I bolted the drop box in, torqued the big nut to spec. Mind you, the spec on these is like 215 newton meters, and if you don't do it, they come loose. You get death wobbles. It's not ideal. So I'm halfway through it. I'm going to put the upper arms in, and hopefully we keep audio the whole time, because that's real annoying. Tyler can bloody talk over it or something and give us some extra pizzazz. All that stuff is good at. Need to make it longer still. So I'm just putting these in roughly where the arms are comfort, and then I will get the tool, get the wheels off, put it on jack stand so it's at ride height, and we'll get it all adjusted. Beep boop beep. Got Loctite going on these. Since I ordered the wrong arm for the front, I ordered a tie rod by accident, 2 of them. Tyler has one of Superior's new 70-75 billet alloy ones that he's gonna put in his wagon. I'm gonna borrow it. It's gonna be mine until I get my Heim joint one. Next up on the 5-link install on this thing is I need to set the caster. I need to adjust the upper arm so that it's got the correct caster, so it drives properly, doesn't get death wobbles, isn't hard to steer. You can wind in a fair bit of caster on these and make them drive dead straight, but then the tyres lean over as you steer, and it's harder to turn when you're off-road and just feels a bit lazier. So I've got a solution. Instead of just eyeballing it like I normally do, like I did with my wagon, which I've had my wagon wheel on and it's got like 5.6 degrees of caster. And spec for a Patrol is 3, about 3.05. And in the instructions from Superior, it says 2.5 to about 3. So I've spoken to Matt Kinsella, the wizard, same bloke that has done my 4-link. He also makes this, which this is a GU caster finding kit. You bolt on where your brake caliper normally goes, and then you get your little bevel box that tells you the angle, and you can measure the caster. So this is predominantly for his arms. If you don't know what size caster you need for your lift, you put these on, you measure it. But in my case, adjustable front caster with a 5-link, I'm gonna put it on there. I'm gonna set it to about 3.75, which is less than the wagon, but it's more than factory, so I should get the happy medium between driving good and still being easy to steer and not feeling lazy. So I'm gonna bolt these on where the brakes go. I'll show you how to use it. It's a pretty cool little thing. If you want one, jump over to Matt's website. The other thing I found really helpful with this is, instead of finding your random nuts and bolts to hold this on, they come with these. And these are just threaded piece of alley, so these don't have to be super tight, that you put your original brake caliper bolt through, and then they're threaded, so, you know, just finger tight on these, stop them from moving. Mate, he's thought about everything. He's onto it. They're on there, finger tight. This is sturdy. See, we've only got 1.45 degrees just there. So we need to roll this diff and get more caster. So that's 2.95 degrees just there. 4, we don't quite want 4.1. 3.7 degrees of caster, which is about right, so I'm happy with that. We'll get that in, I'll get that bolt in, and then I'll go double check the other side's the same. Beautiful.
The caster was correctly set, all the bolts nice and tight, and paint pen on them so you can see if they move at all, and that was the suspension finished. Alright, so that's her, mate. You pretty much got the chassis done at this point. She's coming together, looking beautiful. You happy with the product you got coming up here?
Yeah, I'm happy so far, mate. It's a bit nicer than everything else I do.
What's the plan from here?
I've got brake lines to make, fuel lines to make, so because the 4-link's in the middle of the chassis, we have to remake them to go up and over. Plus, I didn't want 30-year-old crusty ones, everything's gonna be new. And I'm obviously waiting for my motor to come back.
Motor getting built, so you might even head down there when they're finishing assembling it and get some footage of it.
Yeah,
and then you got a cab to start as well, which is going to be a fair job. But that's all we're really doing for the moment, so people might not see any updates on this for
a minute.
Whatever, a month or something.
Yeah.
We've got an 80 series over there with a few problems going on
Yeah.
that we're going to spend the next week or two working on. And then we're moving.
Yeah.
So that'll be the next big job. So then once we're moved, you'll get back cracking into this. But there's a secret surprise over here, mate.
Yeah,
We're
mate.
going to have to turn the camera around and show people what's happened.
Be back.
Mate, you brought over
I bring back my Shayla.
your green GQ, so what, you've just towed it over here with no motor in it?
Nah, so I've got another motor. I think everyone remembers Tyler went through 2 or 3 motors.
Yep.
And the very first one that came in his car was like, what, 700,000 Ks. You know, Tyler thought it had a lot of blow-by, this and that, was using a fair bit of oil. I've bought it off Tyler, I've put it in, I've got it tuned, made like no power, it's pretty safe. I've probably done 5,000 Ks in it, and it's used like 1.5 litres of oil. So I don't know what he was on about, but it's getting me on the tracks. Any of our future trips while I'm waiting for this to go, I can still drive it. It's not written off.
You didn't want to sit around and miss out on all the trips while that's getting built, so you got this thing back in action. So we're probably going to do some trips very shortly in this.
Yeah.
So she's not done for yet.
She's not done for
People
yet.
are going to still be seeing her.
And everyone thinks that I'm parting this out. People have been messaging me. I'm not parting it out. This is still my baby.
And then the other thing we should show, because heaps of people have been messaging us asking what happened to your motor in this with the dusting of it and the air filter situation, the snorkel situation. So let's show the changes we made and what was the original issue.
That thing, mate. I've been raping this. on like 4,000 RPM for a long time.
So I've just been pulling motors out of my car for the fun of it.
Yeah, I've just been keeping them, telling them they're shagged even when they're not.
Really. You've just been stacking up TDs.
The first one, you decided it was broken, which is this one.
Well, what happened was, it did have blow by and it was burning oil. It had 700,000 kilometres. I had some big trips coming up I wanted to do, and we found that cheap, like low kilometre TD42.
And we just wanted to be reliable.
So we wanted to be reliable. We put that in.
It was worse.
But it was like an actual heap of shit.
Yeah.
So then I was like, stuff it, and I just went and got a crate motor. So I just cost myself like 20 grand for, this would probably still be going in my car if I had left it.
Like this thing here is the best TD I've ever driven. So like, it's just a good, efficient, working setup.
It's just a beautiful motor I got you here.
Yeah, like the exhaust manifold costs more than this motor.
Yeah.
Like,
The snorkel, what happened to your other one in here? So this is a snorkel and airbox. This is a Patrol Doctor one.
yeah,
It's a very common one that people use on patrols. Now it's a great snorkel and airbox,
great snorkel and airbox.
but the air filter they provide with it, not suitable.
Yeah, it's an inner truck filter, so it's not even the truck's primary filter. It's like the truck's secondary filter. And I don't think the little trucks suck 30 pound of boost. I know the boost isn't going through the filter, but the air velocity getting sucked in to make that is.
So we're just seeing it's just sucking too hard for that air filter to handle, and it's just sucking all the dust through it.
Yeah, because I don't know if we have any footage, but like every trip we go on, I normally change 2 or 3 filters. 6,000k trip, I changed 2 or 3 filters.
And what we were finding was the filter was barely even dirty, but then we're finding dust down through here. We had to do a couple modifications to it to fit a different air filter, so maybe we'll just quickly show the people that.
Yeah, I'll pull this off. I'll give everyone a bit of a look-see, Daisy.
And mate, this mash bus is getting more mashed by the trip. What happened to your door on the last one?
This door was already busted, and then I busted it in Glasshouse with Nathan and Jeff. Boom, see this? Doesn't shut. You have to lift it up and shut it, because when I had the broken starter motor and it wouldn't start, I had to roll start it. He roll started it with the door open, so it's like fully caved in here, and the hinge is all bent, so you have to lift it to shut it. I might put a door on it.
What a weapon.
I might put a door and a guard on it, make it look a bit more respectable. Look how dirty it is. You see how dirty that is and how clean that is.
So that thing's absolutely filthy. There's no dust at all, dirt at all on the front of that turbo. If that was the old air filter, mate, that turbo would probably be dead by now.
Like, look at that.
So how do we make this happen? Because it wasn't just a straight bolt on.
It wasn't just a straight bolt on, so I'll give you a look. We'll pull the filter off. This is a PSI code off-road. It's not the high flow, because the high flow one isn't as fine. It will probably let some dirt through. I've never used it, but I don't go too much on high flow ones.
And these ones seem to work really well, because I got that one on the 80 and my GQ now as well, and we've all had much better luck with them.
Yeah, well, we've done a bit of a check after, you know, the dusty driving and everything, and yeah, they're 12 times better. So as you can see, it looks like it's double-sided. Originally, this has a triangle that's welded out here and has a little screw on the end that holds the normal filter. So we just cut that off, and then you get one of these stainless rings welded on to accept the 4-inch pod filter. So it's still a big, long, massive, it's slightly smaller than the other filter, but it works much better.
So if you got one of those snorkel and air boxes, just make sure you make this adjustment, otherwise you'll be done for. And we're not the only ones too. We spoke to multiple people, and we're pretty much telling everyone now, because it's just happening to everyone. They're eating dust with that air filter.
I had one of the blokes from UFI tell me from the very start that they were terrible. They do use them in some of the winch trucks with the LSs, and I've seen pictures of just dirt caked on in the intake.
So mate, just to prove this thing's still going, you give a little rev for us. We'll hear this silver top.
It's pretty much cold, ready? That's nice, isn't it?
It's like the nicest sounding TD I've ever heard.
She's golden, mate.
Hey, she's ready for action.
Yeah.